So we had a stillborn daughter in February of 2020. She was born at 32 weeks and 5 days. Just went in for a regular ultrasound routine, and she didn't have a heartbeat. I know a lot of people looked at us like we were kind of crazy, like you have just had the most devastating thing happen to you, yet you're willing to trust God and come back to Him.
I know that was a hard loss for you guys, especially to sit there and everything was fine, and then all of a sudden it wasn't fine. Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Raising the Next Gen podcast. I'm Pastor Angie Larson, and I'm here with somebody who I cannot tell you how much I admire. Somebody who I've gotten to know in some tough circumstances, who's got more resiliency and more grit, but also is willing to be more real than I would say the average human that I get to interact with every single day. And I'm humbled by her story, and I know that you will be too, as well as God's light in the midst of all of it. I'm going to introduce you to my friend, Sam Aakre. Sam, hello, and welcome to Raising the Next Gen.
Hi, thank you, Pastor Angie.
Yeah, we love it. Sam not only is a special ed teacher here in town, but she's a former staff member here at Calvary. And I think one of the most interesting things is sort of how we met.
Yeah. The first Sunday before COVID.
The first Sunday before COVID. What a strange chance to sort of meet your new pastor and me meeting you as well. Sam's story is one that includes a bunch of layers of grief and loss. And so I want to just let our listeners know that this is a trigger space. It's a safe space, but also an honoring space that we're going to kind of talk about Sam's journey here when it comes to motherhood in particular. So, Sam, I wonder if you'll tell us a little bit about how you and I met, how we first got to know each other. I know it's not the happiest story in the world.
That's okay, but I brought us together. I did. So, yeah. So we had a stillborn daughter in February of 2020. She was born at 32 weeks and 5 days. Just went in for a regular ultrasound routine, and she didn't have a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Yeah. So not a fun way for us to meet. Her name was Solveig.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I like that name.
Thank you. Yeah. Harrison, my husband, picked it out. It's funny. Everyone asks, what would her name have been if she would have been alive? And her name would have been Solveig.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's just kind of a funny thing when you think about it, that if you have not been through loss, like what certain questions people ask you and kind of how that feels. So just as a parent of someone who has been through loss, yes, you name your child what your child would have been if they would have been here or up in heaven. So,
right.
Yeah. So Solveig was born February 7th, 2020. And I would just say my husband Harrison and I were at a loss for words. Right. I was 29 at the time, healthy. Yeah. At that time, our oldest son, Nico, he was 2.5. So I had a regular pregnancy with him. No signs or anything, kind of what went through it. So what brought our paths together then was we were members at Calvary. Before that, you had just joined that September. Yeah. So I hadn't really gotten to know you yet. Right, church with a toddler, you don't really get time.
That's very fair.
You don't really get time to just sit and chat with the new pastor. So I remember we came back. Gosh, that would have been early March of 2020. We just felt called to come back to church. And I know a lot of people looked at us like we were kind of crazy, like you have just had the most devastating thing happen to you, yet you're willing to trust God and come back to Him. And so we were coming back on a Sunday. This is when we were still in the traditional church space, because we hadn't launched the new space yet.
Right.
And you had heard our story, I think, through Hans and whatnot. So after that, I met you after. You go, "Hi, I'm Angie." And
I'm sorry that you just went through this awful, horrible thing.
Yeah, but you also shared with me that you have losses too as a mom, and as your sermons, you've shared in those too. So just felt easy to talk to you. And I remember you were telling me your dad was getting married. You were going to Iowa.
I know.
Yeah, I'll never forget that too.
Yeah, it was a really strange day, and then COVID happened, and the whole world just sort of kind of made its way back to each other at some point.
Yeah.
And so I know that was a hard loss for you guys, especially to sit there and everything was fine, and then all of a sudden it wasn't fine.
Yeah.
And then you had to deliver and hold your little girl.
Yeah, that was probably the hardest part that people don't realize of when you do lose a child who's 32 weeks and 5 days, you deliver like you would deliver a baby.
Yeah.
I just remember being confused about that. I thought I'd be like put asleep and you would just kind of like go through it, but no, you would just deliver. We are a C-section family because that's just how our body rolls.
That's all right.
My body rolls. So yeah, I'm same. You get prepped the same way. You go into the delivery room the same way. And I just remember it being like eerily quiet. Like no one really knew what to say, but they didn't. They tried to make it as natural as possible, but also like there was tears, right? Like the anesthesiologist was trying to take. We got beautiful pictures in the delivery room.
Yeah.
My husband Harrison did a fabulous job of, holding my hand through it. But right when a baby comes out, you expect to cry, and that's not going to happen.
Right.
But then when you kind of sit there, you go, oh, and I'm laying on a table, right, cut open 7 layers deep through the stomach.
Yeah.
So that, I don't know, just felt like an out of body experience almost. She was 19 inches, 3.5 pounds. Like, yeah, she could have made it in the NICU, right? Like 32-week baby. But I just remember that experience of just sitting there being like, oh, this is going to have to be my life moving forward. And I can have 2 options. I can sit there and be mad and not parent my Migo, who our eldest child is, or I can lean into this, and it's going to be really hard and a lot of work with me and my husband of having to grieve separately, but also together. We grieve very differently, I would say.
Yeah. This is part of our stories that we kind of collide. Yeah, I didn't have any stillborns, but I experienced 4 miscarriages on my own. And I think that was one of the most, it is a surreal experience because you have all this hope and all this joy and all this sort of expectation in this pregnancy, I guess is the best word. And then to go in and see no heartbeat. And then to very quickly have to make some very difficult medical decisions that affect you for the rest of your life. And it's this surreal moment and no one knows what to say. No one knows how to handle it. And then, like you said, you and Harrison together, but then separately had these totally different experiences of grief. Ryan and I experienced that as well. And it was a really strange thing, I guess, for our marriage. I don't know. What about you and Harrison? How did you guys process all of that sort of together and separately?
Yeah. So separately, Harrison is more of a griever in the hospital, right? So like as a mom, you got the job to do, right? You need to deliver the baby. You need to, and especially with the C-section, you are on just, you don't have a lot of control over what's happening. So I felt more of just like, okay, hold it together. You got to pull through. There's no time for falling apart here. Where Harrison, that's his time to kind of like grieve and really figure out kind of how he goes through that. So after Soleil was born, I'll never remember, he got to cut the cord. And she was, like where they would go clean a baby up usually. And just like, there's a picture of him, just with red eyes, like broken down, and his hand is just sitting on her because we only had a boy at that time. We didn't know she was a girl.
Yeah.
So, there goes the dreams of walking her down the aisle. He was a girls basketball coach at that time, and she would have been in like the 90th percentile.
Oh, because he's so tall.
Yeah, because he's so tall. I am not. Nor am I athletically inclined on the basketball court. So his dreams are all sitting there with her and when I'm being operated on and giving birth, it's more, it hasn't hit me yet. I mean, she's there. I know she's not alive, but I would say those 3 days we were in the hospital, he was just more grieving of like holding her and like, I just felt like I had to hold it together, and we talk openly about this. He knows that's how it rolls. Yeah. And then when we get home, that's when he's like, all right, he's back to business. And that's when I fall apart, right? Because there's nothing worse leaving, in my humble opinion, there's nothing worse than leaving the hospital with just you and your husband without a baby. When you know you're supposed to have a baby. Mm-hmm. I'm holding a pink stuffed animal, and that's kind of when I started the grieving process, I would say, is when we got home.
Yeah, because you really are putting straight into action. Yep. So you have all these action steps that you have to take. And of course, like you want what's medically good for you as well as your family. But at the same point, you go home with this loss that you can't really explain to sort of just anyone.
Yeah.
For Ryan and I found, mine was so physical.
Yes.
And then for Ryan, the babies were just sort of an idea that hadn't quite finished developing yet.
Yeah.
And so it was a really different, and it was hard for us to talk about sometimes.
Yep.
Sometimes we get to points where one of us was ready to talk about it, usually me. And I was ready to like kind of, verbally vomit all my feelings. And he was at a point where he just couldn't take any more feelings. And so it took us a long time to sort of navigate that emotional dance together. And it sounds like you and Harrison, that's a kind of a similar.
Yes, very much so. I would say, right. I mean, end of February, he still was coaching. He had to go back to work. I had a 6-week leave. I thought I'd be back to work the next week, right? But I wasn't. I couldn't lift our 2.5-year-old at the time, right? So just like more of that like emotional piece sits in, and I had to literally rest because you're recovering from a surgery on top of birth. So I would say when we come together with grief, it's kind of like he has gone through those motions and he's ready. He's very linear, and I'm very, well, today I saw a commercial, and the commercial of a baby girl, and now we'll never, like just those dreams have been gone. And what him and I have learned is that like he'll ask me, do you need a solution or do you just need me to listen?
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. And so anytime we go through grief, he'll straight up ask me, okay, are we listening or are we solving a problem? And 98% of the time it's just listening.
Yeah.
I just need to get that out. So yeah, very similar to that.
I love that. I think that's probably a very male-female kind of response in general. But the fact that you guys have learned to navigate that language even together, I think is really remarkable.
Yeah.
You did say anytime we go through grief. I know that Solveig isn't the end of your grief journey. And in the last couple of years, I know that you guys have really struggled with infertility.
Yeah.
And you said you'd be willing to talk about this here.
Yeah.
Because we're trying to help other parents and caregivers understand their journeys as well.
Yeah.
I don't know. What will you want to share about that?
Yeah. So I'll say after Solveig, we have a spunky 4-year-old now. So his name is Oscar.
And awesome.
He is certainly awesome. Yeah, no. So I would, after Solveig, we just weren't sure what life would look like, right? Like, do we want to try? We knew we wanted more than one child, and to give our oldest Miko a sibling. So, we had Oscar in March of 2021. That came pretty easily. I think that was just God's hand of being like, I know you're down here. And Oscar's not a replacement for Solveig. Like, I'll say that to parents all the time who, oh, you had another kid. Yeah, but I don't believe we had to lose Solveig to have Oscar. I just remember talking to you last week. You said there's 8 different paths. God's going to be on each of those paths. Yes. Yeah. So no matter what you choose. So that came pretty easily. So then when Oscar was like 2, so like of 2023, we were like, okay, we know we both come from families of 3. I've always wanted 3 children.
Makes sense.
Yep. I'm like, boy or girl, doesn't matter, just healthy. That's always been my motto after Solveig's healthy baby. So we were able to get pregnant, and then we had a miscarriage in June 2023, about 8 weeks.
Yeah.
Those hit hard. Don't get me wrong. Miscarriages are horrendous and awful, no matter if your baby is 5 weeks or 32 weeks. And because we had one before Miko too.
Yeah.
That's at 8 weeks. So yep, been through it, go through all the procedures. And then about a year, we were still just trying and nothing was happening. And again, like normal, healthy 31-year-old going through it. And then we went into our doctor and we did some genetic testing with Oscar. Nothing wrong. We've done, you name the test, parents. I've probably done the test. I've done the test. Harrison's done the test. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just part of our journey with God is we just don't know answers. So we did infertility treatments for about a year and a half. Of September of 2024, we had what's called like a miscarriage. So baby was there, but it never fully developed, right?
Okay.
So went through a second miscarriage after Oscar, went through all those steps. Second week into school, I'm a teacher, so any teachers listening, you'll understand that that's not the most convenient time.
Not a convenient time to be.
No. And my husband's a teacher as well.
Yeah.
All the things. So then we continued fertility treatments, and then this past May of 2025, we were able to get pregnant, which is just something I took for granted, I guess, right? Because I've been on the loss side, but then you add in the infertility and it's like, ooh, that's just
yeah, it's quite a journey that you guys have been on.
Yeah. So then we've never found out what we've been having. That's just kind of always been the fun surprise. So
yeah.
This pregnancy was healthy. He we went to weekly ultrasounds with a lot of,
Since you're high risk.
yep, high risk PTSD from all of my other previous life journeys.
Yeah.
And then on July 15th, we went in for just our 14-week ultrasound, and there was no heartbeat.
Yeah.
So, and then I go, whoa. So I've had a first trimester miscarriage. I've had a stillborn in the third trimester. And then now I have to do this second trimester. Like, what does this look like? And why? The first question I had for God is like, why us again?
Right.
We're good parents. We go to church. We eat healthy. We don't do drugs.
I think, yeah.
Yeah, I exercise. I like to run marathons and half marathons. Crazy person, but
No, but you're right. I think that's a fair question. We try and look for the answers.
Yeah.
On why these things that we have longed for don't happen in our lives.
Yeah, and that's been the hardest part. So we gave birth to a boy. His name is Mads Jackson.
Mads
Jackson. He was born on July 16th.
Yeah.
So right, I'm coming out of grief again. I mean, I'm still there. So yeah, like when I said before, Harrison, I know how to navigate this. Everyone who we've talked to, they just say, well, how are you going to do this again? Well, unfortunately, I have the tools and I know how to go through it. Doesn't mean I want to.
Yeah.
But I have to, and it's part of who I am. And I've always felt that God has told me that you're supposed to share your journey and make sure people aren't alone, because anytime I do share about it, I will get messages of, hey, I had a loss when I had 3 losses before I had 5 kids. Thanks for sharing it. I've never shared, it's just such a taboo topic in our society.
I think it is still. I think it's better. I had my miscarriages at this point 20 years ago. Let me do the math in my head. And I do think this next generation, your generation of millennial women having babies, it is more talked about. And I cannot tell you how grateful I am that you're, A, willing to share your story, but B, the fact that that's sort of being destigmatized.
Very much.
I also want to speak a little bit about your question of why me. I feel like that's one of the biggest questions that people have when they struggle with childbirth, infertility, miscarriage, all of those things.
Yeah.
And they tend to sit there and think that that there's something that we could control that would change the outcome. Is that fair?
110%. I mean, I'm a teacher, type A. I like to know my schedule. I like to know things. Yeah. Why? Like, what did I do? I will analyze everything so Mads had passed around 13 weeks, 5 days. So we had about 3 or 4 days where we just didn't. I was still thinking I was healthy and pregnant. And you analyze every minute of those days and why did I sleep on the wrong side? Did I eat a uncooked piece of meat? And let me tell you, I've gotten tests. Literally, we've done all the tests with Mads and nothing has come back. And that's just part of our journey. And I laugh about it now. And there's been tears and anger, but I can't control it.
Yeah, I think I remember thinking I had a miscarriage because I drank a sip of somebody's Diet Coke.
Yes.
And I'm fairly convinced that is definitely not what it was. I wonder too, let me know about your experience.
Yeah.
I wonder if sometimes we're looking for those things because we're trying to look for something we can control in a very, very there's no control.
No.
There's no control and no reason. I think we as humans, we really don't like those combination.
No. And that's been the hardest part too, of when we went through the infertility part too, of we got pregnant with Miko, Solveig, and Oscar, no problem. And then all of a sudden oh, we're going to throw this another layer. And it's why? What can I do? So, you cut out sugar, you cut out caffeine. And I'm here to tell you that none of that really helps. Or, I mean, for some people it might, but there's no answer.
Yeah.
And as humans, we like answers and we like structure.
What I think's been remarkable about walking with you through this journey in the last 6 years is the way that you guys haven't given up faith in the midst of it. I think a lot of folks, and I can say myself included from time to time, in going through what seems like unnecessary suffering.
Yeah.
We sit there and ask God why. We look for the control. we realize it's actually out of our control.
Very
When
much so.
we make that conscious decision, like, okay, it's not actually the sugar or whatever.
Yeah.
I think a lot of folks just sit there and say, all right, well then it's God's fault.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I am so thankful even I've almost been more in touch with God, I would say, these past couple of weeks and even after Solvay, and because I know he didn't cause this. And
Yeah.
I just truly don't believe that there's a when people, God has a plan about this. Well, yeah, he does, but he didn't cause this plan to happen.
Right. I agree.
So, yeah, I think just the fact that we keep showing up to church, and whether that looks like at home or in person or just watching online, like that's what part of I love about our church. Yeah, is right when we're Sunday at the lake, we can just turn it on the radio on the way home and
Yep.
listen to it there and still get the same message. And I just hope that we've shown our boys too that no matter what happens to them, that God is there for them.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
When I think about scripture that people say everything happens for a reason, that's not actually in the Bible at all.
Thank you for confirming that.
Yeah, you're welcome. The other thing scripture does say, though, it says that when you suffer, it's not uncommon to humanity,
Mhm.
but that God will walk with you through it.
Oh, yeah.
And I love that part because it sits there and says, what you've experienced,
Mhm.
humans have experienced.
Yeah.
Whether it's fair or not, whether we talk about it or not, you're not the only one. And then God will provide you a way through it, meaning that you're going to be comforted. You're going to be have people in your life. You're going to have resources. You're going to have tears and quiet moments. That God's going to continue to work with you through it. Doesn't mean that God caused it.
No. And I want to iterate too that like I'm not just this happy, jolly. I mean, I am a rich and generally happy person. You are. But I mean, there are the tools from it, and I could not have done this without my friends, and those that are listening know who are the ones that just show up and they let me talk about it on walks, and they let me talk about Mads and Solvay, and they remember their birthdays and have just been through it. And our church has been amazing because you can just get a wink from a person or a hug. It doesn't even have to be like a long heart conversation. Or just getting text from you, like right as a friend, and it helps you.
Well, here's a couple of questions. I'd love for people to be able to take something practical away from this podcast. That's one of our goals.
Yeah.
One thing, what is something helpful to say to somebody who's experienced miscarriage or infertility or infant loss? Yeah, I'm sure you've heard the good, bad, the ugly.
Yeah, I would say the most helpful is thank you for sharing your story with me. I'm here to listen. I'm here for you.
Love that.
Yeah, just something simple. I think validating their feelings too of, I hear you say you are sad right now. It's almost like a teaching mechanism.
Yeah.
But yeah, just saying to them, I'm here for you. Whether you want to talk or scream or be silent, I'm here for you. I will always remember your child. Through the infertility stuff, just a lot of people willing, hey, how are you today? Like, tell me how you're doing. Or just showing up with a coffee.
Yeah, that makes a difference.
Yes. So really just being real with them and honoring their feelings of where they're at in their journey.
Yeah, I think that that's really helpful. Anything bad that we shouldn't say?
Yeah, don't say that God's got a plan.
Yeah,
That's not true. It's not say everything happens for a reason.
right.
And
I heard once, well, at least you know you can get pregnant.
oh yeah, don't say that either.
Yeah. Well,
or at least,
thank you.
yeah, or at least you have Miko and Oscar. Like, I love my children.
Of course.
They're spunky and they're crazy. Don't say anything you wouldn't say to yourself. That's a nugget, I would say.
Yeah, and I think that's really helpful. Somebody did tell me every time we use the word at least, it's like putting a silver lining around something that's hard because we're uncomfortable sitting in that pain. And so whenever you catch yourself using those words at least, then you know that you're living into your own discomfort and not necessarily the discomfort of someone else.
Yeah.
It could be with a grief and loss, could be with a diagnosis. Well, at least you have a great family to support you or whatever. It's just because we're uncomfortable sitting in that grief.
Yeah.
I have another question I'd love for this, like practical nuggets of wisdom.
Yeah.
You have parented your boys through a silly amount of personal grief.
Yeah.
Not silly.
It is silly.
So
when you think about
it, personal grief.
Yeah.
How has that been? How's it been parenting Miko and Oscar while grieving the loss of Solvay and Mads?
I would say first thing is just be honest with them of how much your family feels comfortable. So we have a picture of Solveig in our kitchen and in our room. They know that she is their sister. They know that she's in heaven with God, and just have open conversations, but not give the nitty gritty detail. Right?
Yeah.
Miko doesn't know about the birthing process. Right? He just sees her picture. And then with Mads, that was a little different since he came at 14 weeks, right? Not as baby looking as our oldest is 7 and our youngest is 4. So we just said that there was no heartbeat and got to show him his name and just talk about him as a real person. So that's what I would say is just talk about them as a family, because they lost a brother and a sister. And just let them know that sometimes mom and dad might be sad, and that's okay. Obviously, so Mads was born on a Tuesday. The Saturday was our anniversary. And that's the anniversary, happy anniversary, right? So we just were honest with them about mom and dad we love you, but if we're a little sad and if we're a little short, to give grace to us too. We've just taught that with our boys, that on days that they're feeling sad, we give them grace. And that's just how our family works. We're honest about it and just talk about it, how much is you're comfortable with. So, in our family, we're just really open about it because our kids we see them grieve during their birthdays too.
Yeah.
Especially in the
During Solveig and Mads' birthdays.
Yeah,
Okay.
for sure. Our oldest is the most about that too. We can just tell his feelings are a little wonky, and we get it. Like, as mom and dad, we get it. So why can't we extend them grace too? So, we celebrate Solveig's birthday with a cupcake, and a good friend of mine who I met through a Connect group here at Calgary actually always shows up with flowers and donuts, and just they know that, oh, Solveig's birthday, where's the donuts and the cookies?
That's awesome.
So just create a system with your family that feels most comfortable. Is what I would say.
Yeah, and I think these boys have 2 teacher parents, so you're doing it in a way that their age and abilities can understand and wrap their heads around.
Yeah,
To not give them too much information, but to not withhold the fact that there are feelings that exist in the house.
100%. Because kids are more resilient than adults, I would say.
Yeah.
Like, truly. And my 2 boys, I would say, speak volumes of that. Oscar loves to bring our youngest, our 4-year-old, loves to carry around Solveig's picture. This is my baby Solveig. And Miko loves to. Lately, it's been, Mads told me that we need to get ice cream tonight. It worked about the first week, and then now we're like, okay, Mads will talk to mom and dad about those things. So, we can laugh about it and we can celebrate who they are, even though they're not with us here on earth. They are with us in spirit, truly.
Well, and you think about how creative that is for Miko to sit there and he's working on processing too. And honestly, get some ice cream. I can't blame the boy at all.
And not at all.
Yeah, no, that's incredible to sit there and
Mm-hmm.
and I think what you said too, like, kids are feeling ninjas, aren't they?
Sure are. Yeah.
Like, if you're feeling something,
Yeah.
they know that you're feeling something. They may not be able to articulate or identify what you're feeling.
Right.
And so then they'll feel something that sort of equally matches that energy, I think.
And I think
too.
like you said, age appropriate, right?
Mhm.
Like, they're 7 and 4. We aren't telling them every single detail of, oh, mom and dad went to a ultrasound and there was no heartbeat. They don't need to bear that grief, but they can know bits and pieces about it where it fits where they're at.
Yeah, no, I think that that's incredibly wise. Sam, we're kind of wrapping up our time here together.
Yeah.
What wisdom do you have for parents and caregivers who find themselves in the throes of grief or as while they're parenting?
Mhm.
Any kind of further thoughts?
Yeah, I would say you have to go through it and can't go over it or under it. It's kind of like going on a bear hunt.
It is like going on a
My
bear
husband
hunt.
and I said, oh, we didn't realize how that's about life.
It is.
Yeah, I would say when schedule time to sit with it. That sounds really goofy, but as a type A person who has tried to work around it
Yeah.
and just make myself super busy, that doesn't work. You have to find the time to sit with it, whether that's you wake up in the morning and sit with a cup of coffee, or it might just come randomly. Maybe you're on a walk, maybe you're on a run. I would also say give yourself date nights. That sounds weird and hard.
No, I think that's good wisdom.
Yeah. And you don't even have to talk about it if you don't want to on the date nights, but remember you were husband and wife before you were parents.
Yeah.
And then also just honor those who have gone through infant loss or even children, like child loss. Honor them how you feel best with them. Like for us, I said we do cupcakes and flowers on Sophie's birthday. Mad's just being born in July. We'll figure out next July what feels right.
Yeah.
And also just be honest with your spouse of how you're feeling or your partner. Because they can't read your mind. And keep showing up for yourself because you are worth it.
I love that wisdom. And I love one of the ways that I've seen you kind of sit, can't go over it, can't go under it, can't go around it. You do have to create that space knowing that this is a real, true loss and that it shows up randomly at some time.
Yep.
Instead of trying to numb it, instead of trying to run it from it. Literally run from it. Well, I mean, none of us like to hold those feelings at all, but they don't go away.
No, they don't. And I would say with time, they evolve, right? They just become a part of who you are, and it doesn't go away overnight. It doesn't go away in a year.
Yeah.
It just becomes a part of your story, and allow that story to be who you are versus trying to hide it and shame it.
Yeah. I love this quote, and I use it a lot in services. It says, grief is not a problem to be fixed. It's just a statement that you have loved someone.
Absolutely.
And you loved Solveig and Mads. And I know that someday you'll get the chance to hold them.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah. That's kind of an incredible thing to think about, but also overwhelming.
It is. I know. I can't even, what will they look like? Are they babied? Yeah. So it'll be cool to see that when we get there someday up in heaven. But until then, gotta love what you have in front of you and honor them as the best you can.
Yeah. Sam, I thank you so much for sharing your story of grieving and parenting with us. I know it is one way that you yourself have committed to trying and heal, not just yourself, but also create purpose out of this thing that has no why.
Correct.
To sit there and say, if I can help one listener, one friend through this process. For me, being 20 years out now at this point, which makes me feel really old.
But you're not, I promise.
I agree with that sentiment. And it's been my hope to be able to share some of my story that I have sat in, worked through for a long time, to be able to walk with people through their stories. Gosh, do I wish that I could make all infertility, miscarriages, infant death end? Yes, absolutely. But I don't have that control. So instead, I'd like to sit with people who are going through it because it's hard.
Yeah, it's not easy, and it's not a cakewalk, but it's something you have to go through because that's what humans need to do is work through their emotions.
Yeah, nope. Thank you so much for being here. You're an incredible person, an incredible mother, and an incredible friend. I'm really grateful for you. Friends, thanks for joining us here on Raising the Next Gen. We would love to see you join our website. Make sure you like, subscribe, and follow. We're raisingthenextgen.org. That's how you can find out all the things.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
You too.